My name is Shannon, and I've really been debating if I was going to make a video about this aspect of our lives. Big aspect or a big part of what we've been going through is after we got married, we decided that, well, before we got married, we decided that we wanted to have kids. At least one. He wants 2 to 3. I don't see 3 happening. 2 is a stretch. But we decided that we wanted kids pretty early on in our relationship, and we got married in, let me back it up. We met in July of 2015 and started dating. He proposed July 2016. We got married of April of 2018. No, we got married April 2017, so we've been married a little over 2 years now. But pretty much since like January 2017, a couple months, like 3 months before we got married, I was like, if I get pregnant, I won't mind because I won't be far enough along to show in my wedding dress. That was the big thing. I was like, I don't want to be big and pregnant at the wedding. So if we get pregnant right before we get married, I'm fine with that. Or like as soon as we get married, I'm fine with that. So we decided, to not do any preventive measures around January of 2017. Got married in April 2017. And here we are in August 2019, and we still are not pregnant. So it's been a big part of the last 2, almost 3 years that we've been trying to get pregnant, and it just hasn't happened. So after we didn't get pregnant for a year of trying, we decided that we needed to probably make a doctor's appointment and make sure that everything was okay. I got checked out, I was fine. He got checked out, he was fine. So when I say checked out, so it was a test that's called an HSG, I believe. I'll put it in here just to make sure that I'm telling you guys the exact thing. But basically it is a test that makes sure that my fallopian tubes weren't blocked, because in order to get pregnant, the egg has to get from the ovary down the fallopian tubes, get fertilized, and then transfer down to the uterus and implant. So I got that test done. It was extremely painful, but good news, my fallopian tubes weren't blocked. So there's no, hold up from that physiological portion of it. He got checked out, so he had to go put a little sample in the cup. Doctors had to look at his swimmers and make sure everything was okay. As far as numbers, his number was great. It was like really high. I don't know exactly what it is, but we have the report. I'll put it in here. His numbers were high, but his motility and morphology were low. Motility is the forward motion of the sperm, and the morphology is the shape of the sperm, because each sperm has to be the right shape in order to penetrate the egg, to fertilize the egg. So the doctor, I think it's a urologist, put him on a vitamin regimen that he had to take every day, and he's been taking it every day since I think February of 2018, so almost a year and a half now. So he went back and got checked. I think it was 30 or 60 days later, and everything was like spot on now. So like his swimmers are swimming right, they're shaped right, they're swimming forward. His number is still like super high, so it's nothing on his behalf. And then, so that leaves like me. It's like, okay, if it's not his swimmers, then it must be me. So the doctor then put me on a, on Femara. And Femara is a drug that stimulates ovulation for people with PCOS or unexplained fertility, which is what the doctor determined that we have, because nothing's wrong with my egg quality. Doctor said I have the eggs of a 26-year-old. There's nothing wrong with his swimmers. There's no blockage of my fallopian tubes, so there's no reason why the egg shouldn't be getting fertilized and implanting. Like, they do this measurement to make sure the lining of their uterus is the correct millimeters in depth and all that stuff to support it if it does fertilize and it burrows in there and it attaches. So there's like nothing that's like anatomically or physically wrong with either of us. So they call it unexplained infertility because they can't explain why it just isn't happening. So she put me on the Femara. In the first month that she put me on it, it was 2.5 milligrams or micrograms. And then, so when you take it, then on day 21, they have to test your blood to make sure that you have enough progesterone from the drugs. So still wasn't enough. She wanted it higher than normal, and since there's no other explanation. So she wanted it higher than the normal levels. So the next month she bumped it up to 5 micrograms or milligrams. Still was a little low. So the third month, now this puts us, I think, at April 2018, she bumped me up to 7.5 milligrams. The Femara, by the way, you have to take on cycle day 3 through 7. So 5 days in your cycle after your cycle starts, you take it, and then on day 21 they do a blood draw to test the progesterone levels in your blood. So the third month, April 2018, they did the blood draw on cycle day 21, and yes, it was finally like a level that she wanted it to be at. So she knew that my prescription needed to be at 7.5 micrograms or milligrams, whatever it is, every month. So from that point forward, what we had to do was every month, cycle day 3 through 7, I take the drugs, and then cycle day 10 through 18, we have to have timed intercourse. So that means that on cycle day 10, we need to, have sex. 12, 14, 16, and 18. She wanted it to separate it every 2 days to make sure his sperm had enough time to rebuild itself and get the correct number of swimmers and all that good stuff. So, that's fine. Month 1 and month 2, it's like, okay, we got a little schedule, we got a plan to action. But by month 3, it's like tedious. It's like, now it's a chore to, have sex with your husband in order to try to make this baby. So it's like everything just gets really, really stressful. And those people that tell you, relax, it happen when you're not thinking about it, I just want to chop them in the trachea. Say, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, it was, you got drunk and went out one night and came home and jumped on your man, and then oops, you got pregnant. Like, for us, it takes a lot of effort, and this whole relax thing, like, you can't relax because this is what you really, really want. And every month that it doesn't happen, you get more stressed about it. You're like, what do I do? It's like, I've bought every ovulation predictor kit known to man. I'm peeing on all kinds of things trying to figure out when I'm ovulating to try to get this thing to happen. So you can't just really relax because it's stressful. And they're like, oh, it happened when you least expect it. Well, I have been least expecting it for almost 3 years now. So where is it? And they're like, oh, just take a vacation and, just whatever. Honestly, we've been to Vegas, we've been to Puerto Rico, we've been to Mexico, we've been to Jersey. We've been all over the place, planning these little vacations that are strategically timed during that, fertile window, and it hasn't happened. So it's like, we appreciate your support, but at the same time, please shut up. Because it's stressful enough, and then someone who easily gets pregnant telling you, oh, relax, does not make you relax. It makes you more stressed. So we appreciate your thoughts and well wishes, but please don't say that to people that are trying to get pregnant and have been trying to get pregnant for a really long time, because it's very stressful and it is not helpful. So I forgot to mention in the last part when I was talking about, finally getting the Femara prescription, like where she wanted it to be. So she told us to do timed intercourse every 2 days after cycle day 10 in order to have a chance to build up, yada, yada, yada. We did that the first 2 months, and then when we didn't get pregnant, we're like, okay, maybe we need to step it up a little bit. And so that third month, we had sex every day from cycle day 10 to cycle day 18. Also, she added something called a trigger shot. It's an injection that you have to give yourself on a certain day. I can't remember what day it is. I think it's, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know. I'll put it in the video. but you have to give yourself that shot once you get the test results from your ovulation kits that you are at like peak or high level. You give yourself that shot to give yourself like an extra oomph of, you know, shot chance that your best egg is going to get released. I think that shot also increases the chance that you could potentially release 2 eggs. Or more than 1 egg, because, you know, I don't know how many could release, but I think it gives you an increased possibility of more than 1 egg being released as well. So that could increase your chances of having twins, quadruplets, triplets, whatever. So we did that on the 3rd month, which would have put us in July. Didn't get pregnant again. So the doctor was like, we really need to step this up, you know. You have increased maternal age. I think at that point I was 34, about to turn 35. And, you know, of course your clock is ticking, ticking, ticking. And, you know, my mother didn't make it any better. She would say, your produce is gonna go bad. I'm like, what are you talking about? She told me that at like, I think 27 or 28. She's like, I'm ready to be a grandma again. Your produce is gonna go bad. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, your eggs. I'm like, oh, thanks, Mom. Yeah, I know she was just joking about it, but at the same time, of course, you're thinking about this in the back of your head that, you know, they say, you know, over 35, your baby has a chance of all kinds of extra things. So that's an extra level of, you know, stress that's added to this equation, especially now since I'm 36. But talking with my doctor, she told me that increased maternal age or geriatric pregnancy, that sounds terrible. I think she said now it's 38. So I'm still 2 years off from that, but still 36. I don't want to be like the old lady on the playground, you know, 45 years old, chasing behind a 2-year-old. You know, where I want to have this baby sooner than later, you know, so that if we do decide to have 2, then, you know, they'll be close in age and we can just, you know, knock it out, bam, bam, you know, get both of them out of there. Because, you know, Chris does want us to have 2 kids. I would be perfectly fine with 1, and I think he's starting to get more on that path. The longer that it's taken for us to get pregnant, I think he's more like, if we just get one healthy, happy baby, he'll be fine now. But I think he still wants 2. So, so in August of 2018, the doctor says, okay, we need to step up the efforts because it's not happening yet. And at this point, we're 7 months in from our first doctor's appointment with her, January 2018. So she decides that we need to do something called IUI, which is a less expensive alternative to IVF. It's not as extensive because what they do is they get a semen sample from your partner, and he has to go to the lab and they have to do something called washing the specimen, and they wash it and basically it spins out and separates all of the really good sperm, and then they put that in a container, and he has an hour from the time that they, you know, give it to him to get it to the doctor's office. So I'm at the doctor's office, he's giving his sample across town. They spin it, they clean it, they wash it, they give it back to him. He comes across town, and then Dr. Modi, that was my doctor at the time in Greensboro, she said, we're in her office, and then she has to put it in there. So it's an IUI, so it's a intrauterine insemination. So she takes a syringe and draws up his, you know, swimmers, and then she has to inject it past my cervix into my uterus, and then you have to lay elevated with your feet up or your hips above your waist, basically, so that all of it can, you know, roll back and stay in there, you know, swim to where it needs to swim. Oh, I also forgot, before she does the injection, I believe it's 24 hours before, either 12 or 24 hours before she does the insemination, you have to take another shot of Overdrill to boom, pop up the ovaries, make them do what they're supposed to do. So then we're sitting in the doctor's office for 30 minutes, elevated, and, you know, just talking and, you know, wishful and hopeful that this is the time. We thought we had like a really good, like sign because before they do it, they also have to do an internal ultrasound before you give yourself the overdraw shot. So when she did the internal ultrasound the day before, the follicle that was the biggest, I think it was measuring at like 18 or 19 centimeters, or millimeters. It was shaped like a heart. So we're like, oh, this is a good sign. Like, this is it. This is going to be the time. And so we did the insemination in the office, and then you just have to wait to see if it took. So